100K. It's PLObro with you. Gonna try to get some action going here. Apologies for last night. We had some technical difficulties where ignition was just screwing us and it was freezing up and we had to quit a little early. Tried to hop on ACR, but all the tables were full with wait lists, and so we just called it a night early. So yeah, welcome and thanks for stopping by. As always, we are on a 5-minute delay, so I'll try to keep an eye on chat. But if anything, like with the stream, if there's buffer issues or volume issues, let me know. I'll try to change it, but it might take some time for the changes to show up on your end. So we've been able to pull our bankroll back a little bit. We were struggling for a little. We had a bad weekend. The weekends haven't been good to us. So we started this 2 weekends ago and had a terrible -6 buy-in session. Pulled most of that back throughout the week, and then had a -5 buy-in day this past weekend, and we've gotten a couple of those back. So we've actually recouped all of that plus a little bit. So down 3.5 buy-ins at this point. But not to worry, we don't have that many hands, so I'm going to chalk it up to standard PLO variance. We also lost 2 buy-ins earlier tonight in some pretty sick spots. The guy hit runner quads on me, so that was pretty sweet. I guess Joe Ingram's backdoor quad draw, as Aaron Schmidt told me, is a very real thing. Got another all-in spot earlier right after that too, where a 3-way 3-bet pot. We had a jack high rundown, pure rundown, flop top pair, the nut wrap, and a flush draw. Get it in against a very similar hand that was dominated. It had a bigger flush draw, and then the other player hand was aces with the nut flush draw. So almost all the diamonds were eaten up, and somehow we brick out and miss all of our wrap outs and 2 pair outs. I guess we didn't really have any 2 pair outs. We were just all straight outs. We're gonna let this go. I don't know what this is. Like, is this a new thing? The whole min raise open. Been seeing a lot of people open min raising here at PLO 50, and I just don't know. Like, I can't for the life of me put my finger on what advantage that gives you. You don't have any fold equity. Like, somebody that's gonna limp is gonna call dollar, and you're never gonna steal the blinds with a min raise. Like, the big blind should never fold any 4 cards to a min raise, in my opinion. And he gets stacked. King, Jack, Jack, 9. King has spades. It's a pretty decent hand. I don't really care for being in the small blind here. We are going to raise, though. See, I mean, if we go 3-way, we go 3-way. It'd be nice for the big blind to fold, get heads up. If this hand wasn't as connected, so say like the 9 was an 8 or lower, I probably would have not raised. So we do have 1 blocker to the nut straight and 1 diamond blocker. I think it's the check, though. I'm not going to c-bet into 2 people here. And we probably just... we'll see what happens. I don't really feel comfortable calling any bets on this board. Turn a gut shot, and we do double block with a 9. A 9, if a 9 hits, we double block the nut straight. Yeah, we don't have a lot going here. We're just gonna fold. King, Jack 10-9 double suited. It's unfortunate the gap is at the top of this rundown. And this is a really strong hand. I would like to 3-bet with it, but specifically against under the guns open range, I don't think there's a whole lot that we can, like we're going to be in, I don't know. He could have some rundowns that dominate us and dominate some of our flush draws as well. This is pretty strong flop for us though. We're gonna polarize right out the gate and bet pretty big. I'm gonna bet like 435, I think. Flop a pair, an open ender, and a flush draw. So, I mean, we're happy to just get stacks in at this point. If we're against a bigger flush draw, we're blocking it, and we have a lot of other outs as well. Yeah. And we're just going to barrel again. We have so many strong outs. And we do hit the straight. Hearts get there, but I'm not terribly worried about hearts. I don't know, he could have like queen something with some hearts. Oh. Did he backdoor us? Pretty close to the top of our range here. He could have missed spades. He could have like missed spades with a heart blocker. I don't know. I think we're just gonna have to pay this off because, like, we're so strong on our like value range. Yeah. Wow. He just gets there on us. What a sick play. Just gets like one pair on the flop and just runners us. It's unfortunate. Yeah, I mean, I don't know. I guess like you can consider, I mean, obviously you can consider a fold when the flush gets there, but I think that that's a good card for him to bluff, like his like 2-pair with heart blockers, his missed spade draws. Like, that's just, I feel like it's a good card to bluff. And Obviously, we don't beat any flushes, but I think that sometimes, like, if you just let people lead into you and you fold all the time and they lead into you, you're just going to be in trouble. Awesome. Thanks for the follow. Appreciate it. Wake up here with a pretty strong hand. Ace, queen, 10-9 double suited. We're in the big blind. We got 3 broadways. Our bottom card's connected. The small blind is disconnected. And I think we're going to 3-bet this hand, actually. Definitely going to 3-bet it after the small blind decides to call. And we're probably going to be going 3-way here. Nope. So we have a lot of backdoor flush draws. We got double backdoor flush draw, all over cards. Probably gonna go for a check call here. Maybe a check raise. He doesn't have like a lot. He shouldn't have a lot of value. It's a pretty good card for us. Turn a gut shot and the nut flush draw. The king definitely plays better into our range than his because we're going to have a lot of like ace, king, king that we're 3-betting. We're going to have ace, ace, king, or ace, king, queen, like a lot of Broadway rundowns. So that king hits our 3-bet range a lot more than his button open range. And at the same time, the 3 low cards on the flop also miss a significant portion of his button open range. Like, unless he had like a real connected rundown, like he shouldn't have a lot of those low cards. And it's just not that often that I think he's going to hit 2 pair or a straight on that board, on that flop. It's going to happen sometimes, but pretty trashy hand here on the button. We're just going to get rid of it. Like even if you're opening like 60%, 65% even on the button, I don't think this hand qualifies. And the 2 limpers definitely, like you're just not doing it. You just fold. Got the NBA Finals on right now, so I'm actually, game 1 starts tonight. A pretty epic rematch happening, so I'm wondering how much of a dent that'll put into the streamers, stream viewers. So far, it looks like it's putting a dent. But that's cool, because these go up on YouTube as well. If you miss them, you can catch them on YouTube. So it's not just about how many live viewers we get. However, we do appreciate our live viewers. It's king 10-5. We got nuts spades. We're in the cutoff as well, so I think this is an open. Three broadways with a nuts suit. Our dangler can make a wheel too, so I think that's significant compared to like a 6 or a 7. Like, yeah, the 6 or the 7 can make straight to the 10, but we flop the nut flush draw. We open, and then we get bet into. So the question is, do we want to try and stack off here with a nut flush draw? If we're up against like 2 pair or something, we're going to get value from, and we're actually probably in pretty good shape against 2 pair. If we're against a straight, we're just going to lose all our value. Yeah, I think it's a raise. I don't like people donking into my raises anyway. And everybody could just fold and we could take it down. I mean, I guess that's best case scenario right there. So I'm assuming that player 5 probably flopped like maybe like a weak 2 pair. I mean, I don't know. That's pretty nitty to fold in that spot, I guess, 2 pair, but I don't know what 6 had. Maybe a small flush draw or like a straight draw. We're gonna get rid of this under the gun. It's kind of interesting that player 5 would donk bet with a hand not strong enough to handle a raise. I pretty much expected to get it in there. And on a board like that, if he does have 2 pair, like my hand with 3 overs to the board is going to have a lot of equity with the nut flush draw. Like, we might actually even be a favorite against 2 pair there. I'll have to run it in Poker Juice, but I believe that we are really close, like basically a flip in that spot against 2 pair. So we're happy to get it in as a flip, I think, because if we just flat and brick the turn, then like our equity is diminished. And when we hit the flush on the turn, it's going to be a lot harder to get paid off. Because if this guy had 2 pair and the flush hits, he's not going to pay us off. Unless player 6, who cold called, had like a small flush, and then maybe we get paid on 1 street. Or one maybe 2 bets. But it's going to be hard to get a big payday in that spot, I think. We're going to take a check with this piece of crap hand. It's utter garbage. But Brandon, the 6-4-3 is connected. And the 10 is connected to the 6. So this is like, it's basically like a premium hand. Premium 4-card rundown. No, it's garbage, and we're going to fold. Queen Jack 9-8, single suit to the queen at least, which is good. Our gap being right in the middle is like kind of sucky. But I think from the small blind, like, this guy's limping 75% of hands. We have a pretty small sample, obviously, but I don't know. This might be wide for the small blind, but I think that the big blind is going to call, and then player 6 is going to call, so we're going to get really good odds to Just try to hit like a big hand. We do hit top pair and the 10 that hits our gap. So we've got a wrap. Unfortunately, the wrap's to the lower end, but I still think that we're going to be in really good shape here in a lot of situations. We don't want to be against like queen nine, like 9 queen king specifically. And we're kind of hoping that somebody bets here. Yeah. And I think we're just going to try to get this in with, you know, top pair and a wrap. No flush draw out there either, so all of our wrap outs are good. And we do have the backdoor spade draw as well, which gives us a little additional equity. So, yeah. And again, if we can just pick up, you know, he bets out 11 big blinds and then folds, and we just pick that up for free without even having to really hit a made hand. Like, he probably had a better made hand. So that's like something that I am realizing a lot in PLO, at least at this stake on Ignition, is that like, and I think it's PLO in general to some extent, but like, you have to really be careful what you're c-betting or have a plan for what you're going to do when you get check raised, because the check raise is so strong in PLO. Like, you know, he could have had like bottom 2 pair there, and he's obviously a dog to bottom 2 pair, but I think like, or to my hand with bottom 2, or even like top and bottom. But he would have probably had enough equity to call still. The problem is when I check raise and take an aggressive line, like, his visibility on the turn is significantly diminished. So say he even had top 2 there. I don't even remember what the third card was. Let's see if it'll pull up here. Yeah, 4. So if he has Jack 10 and he just calls, like, he's got to get it in with Jack 10 and just get it in like all here on the flop. But a straight gets there with a 7, an 8, a 9, a queen, a king, or an ace. And a 4 could counterfeit like an overpair with, like, say like a queen, king, king type hand gets counterfeited by a 4. So there's a ton of cards that are just really difficult for him to play on the turn. So the check raise in that spot, particularly at the stack sizes, like, just absolutely requires him to commit his stack with the hand and just go with it right there on the flop, or either fold. Like, he can't call half a stack on the flop there and then just like fold all the bad turn cards, because like more than half the deck's a bad turn card. Particularly like if you account for the fact that I had spades. Obviously he doesn't know I have spades or what I have, but like, think of all the cards that are terrible for him with my hand against even top 2. Any card above a 7 is bad for his hand. For my hand, let's see, yeah, any card above a 7 and any spade. And a jack might not even, yeah, well, that's above a 7, I guess. So trip jacks would have been an interesting turn if he calls, like, because he might have had like ace jack or something. We're just gonna defend here. These like low rundown hands are kind of crappy. Like, your suits are super low, so like you never, especially out of position, you like, even when you make your flush, you just don't really know where you stand. You're kind of just hoping to defend and catch a low flop. That's pretty small here, considering a check raise. No, I just think there's better spots, actually. We just don't have very much equity if he does flat. Like, If he flats, what are we really gonna barrel the turn with? Like, I like to choose bluff hands where I have the possibility to barrel some turns and rivers and like follow through. That flop did not really offer me much. I did have a backdoor flush draw, but I'm just gonna fold this hand. So I started, I was definitely playing a little too wide pre-flop, so especially from places like, from like middle position and maybe the small blind. I'm gonna flat this though. I do have a dangler, but it's a wheel card, and I have the nut flush draw with 3 broadways, and I'm on the button. So I'm more than happy to call this raise. I think I'm doing pretty well against the cutoff's range with this hand. He's gonna have some ace kings. It'd be interesting to see what he does here. He does bet half pot. This actually puts me in a really weird spot. Like, this is, you know, I think this is a call, but it's gonna really suck to flat here and get check raised by one of the blinds. Luckily that didn't happen. You can maybe try to steal it, but the king was actually, I mean, we were already losing to ace king. Now we lose to king king. Is our one pair with the queen kicker going to be good enough to win at showdown? And the other question is, what would he potentially fold that is beating us? Like, I don't know if he's folding any 2 pairs after checking the turn. Yeah. Chop it up. So I think that was a spot that I did have his hand dominated, I believe, actually. But I think that was a spot where ace queen 8-4, ace queen 10-5, yeah. He also didn't have a nut flush draw, so yeah. Rake wins that one, but no, I think that lost my train of thought. Anyway, so on the turn, yeah. So on the turn, I think that I may have missed a pretty good spot to try to take down the pot. Like, with his hand and having the ace, he probably will call on the turn, but he will fold the river. So I guess what's interesting is that I would need to, you know, I think that you just have to, so we're in the cutoff essentially. I think we're going to open this hand. Like, I don't really, like I said, these hands I think are generally overvalued, but being that we're only 4-handed, I'm in the cutoff, like, I think I can open this and be okay. But yeah, anyway, on that hand, I think if we choose to fire down the turn and try and take it down, we have to turn our hand into a bluff on the river when we don't make 2 pair and try to get like smaller 2 pairs to fold or chops or things like that. Yeah, I don't know. Looks like we are glitching out here, which is not cool. It's the same problem we were having last night. Here we go, we're back. We're like fairly middling on our range. We have a lot of equity. We certainly don't want to get check raised, and this board does not hit like it's super dry. So I think that we will benefit by keeping our opponent's ranges pretty wide. Like, this is a card that I think I should barrel because it hits my range a lot. And when player 6 checks again, I don't think he has aces up. We're gonna make it like fairly big. And he calls, which I think we gotta turn our hand into a bluff at this point because we're just not gonna win, I don't think. And we're gonna make it like 11.25. Easy peasy, baby. Take it to the bank. So 10, 9, 7, 6. A one gap rundown again. It's in the middle, which kind of sucks. And we're in the small blind, so I might just fold this out. So I'm just trying to see something here. Yeah, so we had one heart. So we're not overly blocking him having. Oh, we're in the big blind, not the small blind. Yeah, this is a clear defend. We're not overly blocking hearts, so he can have a lot of heart draws and things like that. But again, I just think like most bluffs in PLO, you have to commit to it almost. And from a GTO standpoint, you obviously have to manage your frequencies. It's particularly on the river, otherwise you can be exploited. But I find that generally so far what I've found in this transition to PLO is that we don't really have anything happening here, so I'm not going to try and take a stab. We don't block like anything, so, and we're in front of two people. Anyway, yeah, generally in PLO, I'm finding that like people, because it's a drawier game, you can barrel the flop, you can barrel the turn, and get called down by hands, a lot of hands with like practically no showdown value, but they're on big draws, and then they'll hit, you know, or they'll hit a top pair against you, and you'll have second pair by the river, or they'll hit some like funky two pair but miss their big draw. And they're just going to fold when you commit and just barrel down. And on a site like Ignition where there's no long-term tracking, like they can't see what my tendencies and ranges are and my frequencies are, like my barrel frequencies are on here. Like I have a HUD, but I'm just going to track all of my hands. But you know, player 4 is anonymous. It's going to track his activity until he leaves the table or I leave the table, and then you know, the next table, player 4, is somebody totally different. So it allows you to potentially do some things that would be otherwise exploitable, like barrel down on the river more often. So your bluff frequency being like above like the standard equilibrium point, because the population tendency is to overfold to barrels. And I get that because it looks really strong when you just barrel down. I think you get folds from a lot of made hands in like double and triple barrel spots. Particularly like, you know, certain board textures are different than others, obviously. And I'm trying to do better and continue to figure out like distinguishing those spots. But I think that particularly so against under the guns range, we're just going to fold this. At least a typical under the gun range. I don't know what this guy's under the gun range is. So yeah, again, like in anonymous tables, like I don't have any history on this guy, so I think like GTO is the starting point that you have to start at. But then if you begin to like recognize different tendencies of the population at that stake on like this particular site, then you can begin to play somewhat exploitatively, but like trying to play a GTO game is going to be the best place to start, and then you can deviate from that as you learn more about the population of players at that stake that you're playing against. Yeah, a hand like this, like, yeah, we have a king high suit, we have a 3-card wrap. The 5 just totally breaks up the connectivity of the hand. If we had an ace in our hand, then it would could make a wheel and have some connectivity, so it wouldn't be so bad. But without the ace, the 5 is useless to us almost. And beyond that, the under the gun player is going to have a lot of like ace high rundowns and ace high flush draws that could potentially dominate our hand. So that's why I chose to fold in that spot. Here we have ace queen 9-9. From the cutoff, I think we can open this up. And this is an interesting spot. So we double block. We have the nut flush draw. We have an overpair with 2 overs. And we double block what will be a lot of the straights. So I'm going to opt for a check. This is a great spot. I'm going to opt for a check call though, because like if this was a 7 of clubs, we'd be double blocking the nut straight with the nut flush redraw, so we can bluff with the straight blockers and then have equity on rivers when hearts hit. And obviously we're just going to go ahead and like barrel or fire down here. Hope to get called by worse flushes or maybe some straights. And so at any rate, this is a great flop, but I didn't want, like, you don't want like 2 pair to come over the top on you, because that reduces your flexibility on like on those turns, like 7 of clubs or 7 of spades or something like that. So we're gonna bet again, because I've noticed that people will call with their flushes more, but they don't want to bet their lower flushes, and it just will check through. So like one thing I was doing a lot of is trying to, we have a double paired hand, but it's rainbow, and the 6s are pretty low too. We're in middle position. I'm just gonna fold this spot. Anyway, so I was trying to, so I guess it seems really obvious, like if you, when you're out of position and say you check call a flop and you turn or river the nut flush and you just lead out, it looks like a flush and you get a lot of folds. So I tried to start checking some of those spots to induce like bets out of smaller flushes, or bluffs, induce some bluffs. And obviously you're ready to come over the top, and the bluffs are all going to fold, and the smaller flushes are usually going to fold a lot of those times as well, but you do get a bet out of them, and they're going to be folding like all their bluffs when you lead out. So far what I found doing that is that doesn't work out as planned very often. It hasn't for me, at least. I would say that by far the majority of the time, the players are checking behind, even with their smaller flushes or middling flushes, and they're not bluffing the flush card that often. So I felt like what was happening is by trying to check and induce so you keep some bluffs in the range and get value from bluffs when you like turn or river the nut flush, or just have the nuts, you know, on the river in general, is that hands that have showdown value, say middling flushes or small flushes, that would maybe call one bet on the river, they're checking back for their showdown value, and the population has been under bluffing. That's what it feels like, at least. It feels like the population is under bluffing on like flush cards. I have seen, I do see people like bluffing with the nut flush blocker and things like that. But in general, it's been pretty straightforward, and I feel like and I probably don't have enough hands to really make a solid conclusion, but I do think that at least at PLO 50 on ignition, the population for the most part is under bluffing, particularly on rivers where like they don't really have enough showdown to win. But I could be wrong. Maybe I'm just not seeing. Maybe I'm just not seeing the cards turned over enough to know. And maybe one way that I can improve my win rate at this level right now too is to call less river bets or fewer river bets, because it seems that the population is under bluffing. So I can exploit that by calling with a tighter range. So less hero calls with like, had one earlier today, right before the stream. No, I think it was the hand I got stacked at the beginning of this stream with this, where we turned the nut straight, we rivered the nut straight, but it also brought the flush in, and the guy let out into us for like almost all of the rest of our stack, and it was like 3/4 pot or something like that, and it was the backdoor flush. In the flush draw from the flop, there's spades on the flop, and then the heart's backdoored. So he called on the flop, so I thought that there would be a lot of spades in his range that he would maybe bluff the flush card with on the river. So I called him down. But based on what I've seen from the population here so far is that like there's not enough. I'm just going to defend here. If the 4 was like a 6 or a 5, I might 3-bet and try to get this heads up and lower the SPR. But as it is, we flop the nuts, so that's cool. It is a vulnerable nuts though. A jack is bad, a queen is bad, a king is bad. Leading out just looks super strong, and maybe I should look super strong here because of all the bad cards. Even though it is a rainbow board, which helps us, it's going to be hard to play a number of these turns out of position. So really hoping that either player 4 donks into 6 or 6 c-bets. And this is beautiful. Player 4 does donk into player 6, and player 6 flats. So we can raise it up here. And pretty much commit our range. So we want to see like a pretty low card here. He just flats, so yeah, that's a beautiful card. So we still have the nuts. A heart would have been better to give us the flush draw to go with it, but just gonna get it in, and hopefully he's not free rolling, and hopefully we aren't chopping with the same hand. Hopefully he's got like 10-9. Get it in, get it in, get it in. I really hope that the software isn't like freezing up on me here. It's been acting really quirky. Oh no. Oh no, dude. If we just lost our whole stack because the software froze, I'm gonna be so upset. Dude, please no. Oh, yes. Yes! Yes! Fire it off! Look, we've missed, like, it froze out and we missed our small blind hand. So what? Dude, if we would have lost that hand because we discode, that would have been terrible. Usually, when it's done that in the past, it hasn't, like, come back. So he had 9-10 Jack Queen, a pair, and an open ender to the nuts. So he did have our straight at risk, which is what we were kind of worried about. He did not have a pair when he called. So he was, when he called our check raise on the flop, he didn't have a pair. So I think that was a pretty, he's definitely not getting odds to just with a raw open ender. Owen money for life. That's awesome. So that was a pretty big pot for us. It was good to hold up there. Feels good to hold. Hold on. Yeah, Queen Jack. Yeah, so when I check raise pot, he needs 33% equity or so to continue, and without having a pair to go with his open ender, I don't think he's got it. I guess with the flop being a rainbow flop, sorry if we got some lag there. Said we were offline for a second, but I don't know. OBS is showing no problems. It says I have an excellent stream health, so whatever. Did not mean to post my dead small blind. That was a waste. Got a comedian in the chat, ladies and gentlemen. How about a round of applause? Yes, it feels really good to hold up in an all-in pot in Omaha. It's like when you get it all in Omaha, like a lot of times there's gonna be some times where you just have the nuts and it's gonna be really hard for it not to be the nuts on the runouts. But like on the flop, like sorry, I'm laughing at the at Owen money. But yeah, it's hard to like have a huge equity advantage on the flop and even sometimes on the turn in PLO. So when you do get those big all-in pots and hold, it feels like extra nice compared to like hold 'em. You know, winning any all-in pot is always great. Ace Queen 7-3. We have nut suit. Very poor connectivity, and we're gonna fold to an open here, even though we're on the button. So head on over to, after this, head on over to my page on YouTube. Search PLObro Official on YouTube. Check out all these streams if you missed them, as well as some hand analysis and breakdown videos. You can also follow me on Twitter at PLObro, Facebook, Instagram, and yeah, that's it. At PLObro Official. Looks like I might be having some connectivity problems here. The show on the stream is offline, and then it pops back online and says we're excellent. So if we start having some glitching in and out, I don't know if it's the internet. Don't usually have internet problems. Got a couple new people on the stream right now. Welcome to the stream, ladies and gentlemen. Oh, and money, man. That's pretty rough, dude. Quads versus a royal. That's sick. You were probably playing it like a home game or underground game or somewhere that had no bad beat jackpot too. I'm gonna call it. I'm calling there was no bad beat jackpot. Ace Jack 9-9 double suited is pretty strong in the big blind. I don't know if we want to 3-bet here and play. I mean, this guy's got a pretty small stack, but if we miss the flop, like it's gonna be hard to just stack off with the 9s. We can flop a fair amount of draws. Dude, I bet you were triggered. I got runner quadded earlier today. Had the nut flush and got runner quadded. That was pretty sweet. I'm just gonna defend here. I like to play a pretty tight range for a pretty tight 3-bet range from the big blind. Because the 3-bet size is gonna be smaller, so you're not gonna get folds as often. We have a lot of great cards for us on the turn here too, so we're gonna flat one. See if we can pick up a flush draw. We do pick up a flush draw. Not the one we wanted, but we'll take the jack-high flush draw, especially when the diamond there is an over, so there's less flushes that beat us. All right. Oh, and money. Thanks for the follow, man. Appreciate it. So player one's stack size here is like because player one is super short stacking. We I don't know that we can really do much because obviously he's committed, he's not folding, so we can't raise and hope to get any fold equity. And by potting, he denied us the equity that we need to call and try to hit our flush. And we don't have any like gut shots or straight draws to go with it. We do have, you know, our 2 9s are probably good, but even so, it's 11 outs. Yeah, we just have to fold, unfortunately. He denied our equity with that bet size, which is fine. We're gonna get rid of this in the small blind. Queen, queen, 10, 9, double suited. It's a pretty strong hand for the button here. Definitely going to open it up regardless of the number of limpers. Our hand's connected. We have a big pair. We're double suited to the queen in both suits. So this is a hand where, like, I think it plays pretty good heads up. And I think it also plays fairly well against a multi-way pot, because we're going to flop flush draws and straight draws fairly often too. So this guy, he 3-bets us. He limp 3-bets. And I mean, he's got a total of $24. So I think we're just going to get it in here. Yeah. He has one of our queens, which sucks. We're in trouble. Yeah, that was unfortunate. It was not a good flop for us, and it was also unfortunate that he had a queen. But his stack size made it as such that I think just getting it in when we're double suited like that, I think just getting it in is the way to go. If he had 100 big blinds, I would say no, but I mean, he had less than 50 big blinds to start the hand. Player 2 has been a serial tanker. He uses up like his time bank like every turn, which is really annoying sometimes when they do that habitually. Especially in PLO when you already get less hands per hour in. It's like, let's move this show along, ladies and gentlemen. And then he tanks before deciding not to post his blind. Oh, this guy that beat us in the all-in, hit and run, man. Not even giving us a chance to win our money back. Pretty trashy double-suited hand here, but for a quarter, I'm gonna try and see it. Getting 5 to 1 if the big blind checks, and he doesn't. But player 5 is going to call and price us in again with 3 to 1. I don't like it, but kind of got lassoed in. Flop top pair, backdoor king high flush draw. So probably going to go for a check call here. I mean, we have top pair, we have a good kicker. We don't have a lot of good like cards that give us like a better 2-pair than somebody that already has 2-pair. Like an 8 of clubs would be pretty strong. If this guy bets, we're just gonna fold. He could have been betting like a nut flush draw or something. Yeah, he just pots again. It's just really unlikely that he doesn't have anything very good. Been thinking about putting in some a little bit of volume on ACR as well. I actually like ACR. It's definitely a nittier field from the amount I've played so far. The software is less glitchy though, in my opinion. The rake structure is more friendly. Significantly lower cap, particularly when you account for rake back. I want to say at PLO 50, the rate cap is $4 on ignition, so 8 big blinds. And this is a really crappy hand, but this is our last orbit, so I'm going to try and get some hands in. It's not something we want to go multi-way, though. Well, that works. And we flop the flush with the steel wheel draw. We're going to check and just try to play for our showdown value, though, because the flush is super weak. We hit it, ladies and gentlemen. Sick. Hit the steel wheel. Really hope he has a flush. I want to get paid. He does call me off. Please. 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 Oh, he folds. I wanted to show that down. We did get one bet out of him though, so that's better than an insta fold. It's the first straight flush I've hit in a long time. I hadn't, I've hit one Royal live, one Royal online, and maybe one or two other straight flushes online. Other than the one Royal, never hit another straight flush live. And like, if you haven't checked out like any of my introductory videos or stream, like the whole PLObro thing is about documenting and testing like a live no limit reg player. So like I would consider myself a regular live no limit player historically. Like documenting the transition to PLO from live no limit, and it being online. So the transitions from live to online and from no limit to PLO. And I thought that would be a pretty interesting like storyline to follow. Could be completely wrong about that, but at any rate, yeah, cool. Hit a steel wheel. Got one bet out of the guy too. Gnarly, dude. At any rate, we're going to wrap it up there. We'll be back on Saturday night, most likely. Again, check me out on my Facebook page at PLObro Official, as well as Instagram at PLObro Official, Twitter at PLObro, and give me a follow here on Twitter as well. I'm also my YouTube channel. I don't have the custom URL yet, but if you search YouTube for PLObro or PLObro Official, it should pop right up as the only channel under that name. So check it out. Thanks for stopping by. Give me a subscribe, and I will see you later this week. Thanks everyone, and peace.